It being 5 o'clock, the Lafourche Parish Council meeting of October 10, 2017 is hereby called to order. Ms. Carleen, roll call, please.
Mr. Jones. Ms. Posito. Mr. Grow. Mr. Melvin. Mr. Bourgeois. Mr. Perilou.
Here.
Mr. Otam. Mr. Lafont. Mr. Lorraine. And Mr. Cantrell.
If everyone please rise, the invocation will be led by Mr. Jones, followed by the pledge led by Mrs. Posito.
Our Father,
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Section A, approval of minutes. Number 1, motion to accept the minutes of the September 26, 2017 regular session. Moved by Mr. Otas, second by Mr. Lafont. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Can we get a motion to enter into our public hearing for ordinances and ratification? Moved by Mr. Otam, second by Mr. Lafont. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Number 2, ordinance establishing no swimming and no tying of boats to the Leeville Fishing Pier and no anchoring within 200 feet of the Leeville Fishing Pier. Leeville, Louisiana, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for a placement of no swimming and no tying of boats to Leeville Fishing Pier and no anchoring within 200 feet of the Leeville Fishing Pier signs, and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Moved by Mr. Lorraine. Second by Mr. Bourgeois. Mr. Lorraine, you have discussion?
Yes, I just want to let y'all know that now that this pier has been built, I don't know how many of you have visited it or not, but it's being used by many people. I've been there at least 30 times. You got people from Morgan City, Gramercy, Baton Rouge, Gaines, Rayson, Thibodeau, you name it, they have it, and they're catching a lot of fish. I know nobody likes rules and regulations, but we have to establish something. And naturally, no tying of boats on the pier is a number 1. And no tying of boats and no swimming should be number 2 off the pier. And 200 feet, I had a conversation with someone from Baton Rouge yesterday. They called me, and we talked about it. And that's probably a little bit too much. So I agreed with them that it should be 100 feet. And I got an amendment. Instead of 200 feet would be way across the canal, would affect it. This way, he felt, I said, well, let me just bring it to 100 feet. And it would be fair for the recreational fishermen in the boats, and it would be fair for the ones fishing on the pier. I mean, if you're going to fish at a pier, you shouldn't go anchor a boat right by the pier. You know, that if that's what you want to do, just go fish on the pier. And it's being used a lot. That there is some negative out there from one group, but I'll talk about that later. But the guy agreed with me. I said, let me bring it to 100 feet, and I'm going to put that amendment where they have 200 feet. We're going to change it to, I'm going to amend it to 100 feet. And he said that would be reasonable. And I saw Armand take his light off when I said 200 to 100. So, and that's where we at.
Mr. Otam.
Yeah, I was going to be voting against because of as a kid that grew up fishing all the lights in Fouchon and Leeville, out of a boat with the family when we leave our camp, I just thought that's a long ways to be away from the lights, and everybody wants to go chasing them. So, and sometimes there's nobody fishing off the pier, so I don't see the harm. But I think that's reasonable if we go to about 100 feet.
I want to make the amendment, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I move to make the amendment. There's a copy of it. To wherever there's 200, we put 100.
And second by Mr. Lafont. Did you second that amendment?
Yes.
Okay. So you have discussion on the amendment?
Yeah, I just want to say something. And I felt the same way as Mr. Orman. I thought 200 foot, because I measured from the parish assessor's website, 200 feet was almost all the way across the whole canal from the pier. So I think 100 feet, I wasn't going to vote against it myself, but I think 100 feet is sufficient. And I don't think any fisherman's going to have a problem with it. And I know if somebody gets in an emergency and they have to drop an anchor, I'm sure the sheriff's office is gonna work with them, so I don't see an issue with that.
Mr. Melvin, you have something?
Mr. Lorraine, I can understand not anchoring, but can they motor by, or they just can't come within?
No, they can pass.
Okay, making sure. That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, so first we'll vote on the amendment.
Public one time.
Yeah, any discussion on the amendment from the public? One time, 2 times, 3 times, being none? Any further discussion? So we'll put the amendment to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so next we'll open discussion to the public on the ordinance as amended. Any discussion? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, being none? Any further discussion from the council? Being none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0 as amended. Item number 3, ordinance establishing no overnight parking of boats on all wharves at the Golden Meadow Boat Launch, Golden Meadow, Louisiana, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of no overnight parking of boats on all wharves at the Golden Meadow Boat Launch, signs, and providing penalties for the violation thereof. Moved by Mr. Lorraine. Second by Mr. Bourgeois. Mr. Lorraine?
Yes, what we have here, gentlemen, is you have 3 wharves that were recently built. And the reason why they were built, I was trying to, for about 3-4 years, I was trying to get 2 wharves built, but we were able to get 3 in. And it's a bad situation right there because you have commercial and recreational fishermen. So it worked out perfect with the 3 wharves. All these fishermen come in and they just scatter all over, but nobody's gonna tie up on the wharf. I mean, you don't wanna break them. So what I did was I came up with the last wharf and we fixed on the road. They can back their truck. The last wharf is gonna be for the commercial fishermen for loading and unloading. They can load their stuff there, they can unload, then they take their boat and they go move it further down the canal, which there's a lot of room. And the other 2 are gonna be used for recreational. What it is when they launch their boat, they gotta walk a good bit to go bring your car or your truck. And then instead of leaving the boat there, blocking everybody, they can move it to the wharf. And that's what that was for. So it worked out perfect with 3 of them because you can take care of the commercial fishermen and the recreational fishermen. And I will meet with all of them that park thereafter to let them know. And that's where we at. But I don't want no overnight parking on none of these wharves unless somebody's broke down. That's a different story. And that's where we at.
All right, thank you. Mr. Groh?
I was just wondering if this came from the town of Golden Meadow, that, like, did the mayor or any of their council?
Golden Meadow has nothing to do with the boat launch.
Okay.
That's a parish boat launch.
In the city, though, right?
It's in the city. All they furnish is the parking. They have nothing, they got a big sign, owned and operated by the Lafourche Parish government.
Mr. LaFont?
I will bring it to the cops, the ordinance after, for him to do it, because the sheriff's gonna do it, and the harbor police, and hopefully the town of Golden Meadow.
The only concern I have, and Councilman Otan and I were discussing it earlier, is he was saying in Lockport, a lot of people come back, camp owners, they'll come run to the front, park their boat, leave it there for a couple hours, run home or go get supplies before heading back. So who's gonna enforce how will you know if that boat stayed overnight or if that boat didn't stay overnight, if they're only there for a couple hours? And I know also that a lot of guys that have trawl boats, they used to anchor out right there or tied to the bank. But they skim at night or they popier at night. They actually tie their boats up in the day. So it's gonna be all right for them to tie their boats up during the daytime?
Yes.
Just not at night?
Yes, no, at night too. Not tying on the wharf. Get on the property. There's a lot of property to put your boat.
Right, but
They're not being affected.
So they can tie
I
up in the
just don't want-
daytime all day long?
Right. To load and offload, commercials just on wharf 3. Just wharf 3. They can load and unload all they want, all day long if they want. But then you take, what it is, gentlemen, these Lafitte skiffs, and look, it's hard to deal with commercial and recreational. It's mixed here. These things are not built for Lafitte skiffs to come in there and bend them and knock them down. If they do all that, then who's gonna fix it? I struggled to get the funding for this for 4 or 5 years, and I want to save it, and they understand. I mean, they're gonna be treated fairly. And if somebody comes in from a camp, they just pull up and then go do what they gotta do and go back. The whole option is not to block the launch and to keep it moving. That's what that's about. And you're taking care of the commercial fishermen and the recreational fishermen together.
I just don't want commercial fishermen coming to the next meeting and say, man, we're killing their livelihood because they can't have a place to park their boats anywhere. That's the only concern I have.
I tell you what, if the commercial fishermen want to come, I'm looking at them right there on camera. Come on over. I invite them. I'm not there to hurt anybody. And that's going to work out. I'm telling y'all, I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this a long time.
All right. Any comment from the public on this ordinance? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, being none. Any further discussion? Being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Hands of nay? Passes 6-3. Nays, put your hand up again, please. 5-4. All right, before we go any further, I'm sorry, I forgot to make an introduction earlier. From Senator John Kennedy's office, we want to welcome Miss Mary Elise Schlesinger. She's the regional director. So, Ms. Schlesinger, thank you for being here tonight. And also, State Representative Burl Amadi showed up, so we have you on the agenda. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Who is it? Chip Baddow.
City of Thibodeau.
City of Thibodeau, Councilman. Welcome, sir. Y'all need to speak up, man. You're in my bad ear. All right, number 4. Go ahead.
I'd like to request that we deviate to number 41.
Number 41. Correct. Okay, won't be long. We only have 3 or 4 items left. Number 4, ordinance approving the attached servitude agreement between Wayne Joseph Roos, Glenn Anthony Roos, Lisa Roos, Arsamon, and the Lafourche Parish Council, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement. Moved by Mr. Lafont. Second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion on this? Any input from the public? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. We'll move to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 5, ordinance approving the attached servitude agreement between Terry L. Hunter Jr. and the Lafourche Parish Council, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement. Moved by Mr. Lorraine. Second by Mr. Bourgeois. Any discussion? Any comment from the public? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Being none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 6, ordinance providing for a 2017 supplemental appropriation 17-032 within the 2017 operations and maintenance budget to cover any emergency costs that occur during Hurricane Harvey and any other future tropical storms and/or hurricanes that may develop during the 2017 calendar year, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Mr. Lorraine. Second by Mr. Bourgeois. Any discussion? Being none. Any discussion from the public? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Being none. Moving to a vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Nay. With the favorable votes, put your hand up, please. Fails 2-7. You what? Fails 3-6. Item number 7. I heard that we're supposed to be pulling this item, number 7? Okay. So Mr. Melvin is pulling this item. Can we get a motion to close public hearing? Second. Moved by Mr. Bourgeois, second by Mr. Lorraine. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So be closed. Mrs. Esposito, you had something?
I'd like to deviate to number 41.
Second by Mr. Bourgeois. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Number 41, Section H, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, and/or Managers reports, presentations, and/or updates. Number 41, Parish President James B. Cantrell to present Employee of the Month Award and WOW Awards for the month of September.
For September 2017, Employee of the Month is Miss Wendy Terrebonne. Wendy has been with the parish for over 12 years. She is a bridge tender at the Galliano Field Office. Comments from her nomination: Miss Wendy does an outstanding job, and if called upon to take someone's place, she will. Keeps up her work area and keeps us informed if any problems come up. She loves her job, and it shows. Join me in congratulating Miss Wendy Terrebonne as Employee of the Month, September 2017. We also have one WOW recipient for September 2017. Ms. Mona Irwin was selected to receive the WOW Award. She has been with the parish for over 1 year. Mona is a bridge tender at the Galliano office. Comments from her nomination: Mona has been with us a short time, but will do anything asked of her. Keeps the job site clean and lets us know if any problems arise. She hardly ever misses work and can be counted on if needed. I don't believe Ms. Irwin is here. Oh, she is here today. Ms. Irwin, if you'd come up, receive your award. If everybody would join me in congratulating Ms. Irwin on her WOW Recipient Award for September 2017.
All right, can we get a motion to return back to the normal schedule? Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Esposito. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So be moved. Mr. Esposito, proposed ordinances, please.
Number 8, proposed ordinance to install additional 15-mile-per-hour speed limit, speed check by radar, and watch for children signs on West 202nd Street, Galliano, Louisiana, Ward 10, District 9, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of speed limit, speed check by radar, and watch for children signs, and providing penalties for the violation thereof. Councilman Lorraine. Number 9, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 5732 and amending and reenacting section 266 of chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Lafourche as it pertains to the parish executive departments, hereby abolishing the Department of Community Service. Councilman Jones. Number 10, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 5732 and amending and reenacting section 266 of chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinance of the Parish of Lafourche as it pertains to the parish executive departments, hereby abolishing the Department of Homeland Security, Emergency Preparedness. Councilman Jones. Number 11, proposed ordinance rescinding ordinance number 5924 as it pertains to installing 15-mile-per-hour speed limit and caution children at play signs on LaRousse Lane, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 6, District 2, Parish of Louisiana, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana. Can someone move that one for me? Moved by Councilman Jones. Number 12, proposed ordinance establishing a 10-mile-per-hour speed limit on LaRousse Lane, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 6, District 2, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of speed limit and caution children at play signs and providing penalties for the violation thereof. Can someone move on? Councilman Jones. Number 13, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 5968 as it pertains to adding additional 15-mile-per-hour speed limit and caution children at play signs on LaRousse Lane, Ward 6, District 2, to correct the street name and ward and district to Laverne Drive, George Drive, and Ainsley Drive, villas at Layton Plantation, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 1, District 1, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of speed limit and caution children at play signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Councilman Jones. Number 14, proposed ordinance approving the attached servitude agreement between Jeffrey G. Boudreau, Catherine B. Boudreau, and the Lafourche Parish Council, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement. Councilman Melvin. Number 15, proposed ordinance amending number 5924 that amended ordinance number 5877 and 5833, which adopted the 2017 operation and capital budget for the Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided for by Article 5 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Councilman Bourgeois. Number 16, proposed ordinance to adopt the 2018 operations and capital budget for the Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of the unclassified employees as provided by Article 5 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Councilman Bourgeois.
Thank you, ma'am. Section D, schedule of budget hearings and enactment of budget ordinances. Item number 17, schedule first budget public hearing, sponsored by Mr. Jones. Ms. Carlene, you have a date for the first one?
Yes, sir. November 14th is our first council meeting of that month. We can hold the first budget public hearing then if you'd like, if y'all would like. Y'all okay with that?
Would that be prior to the meeting or during the meeting?
That would be during the meeting. Y'all want to do that and
Okay.
hold the second one on the 15th? Or do you? I don't think I sent a date this year. 13th is a Monday. We can hold a budget hearing then if y'all want. And then the 14th would be our second budget public hearing, or we can do 14 and 15. First budget public hearing, the 14th. Prior to.
So we have to have the meeting before?
On the 28th, y'all, was possible enactment on the 28th of November.
So
So y'all want to do
you want to
the first?
propose the first one on the 13th, on a Monday?
Is that good with y'all for the Monday?
Let's move it to a vote. All right?
Yeah.
For the first budget public hearing on November 13th. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 8-1. Do you have a time on that?
It's going to be said by you.
Okay.
5, we usually do it at 5.
We'll say 5 p.m. All right, item number 18, schedule second budget public hearing. Mr. Jones, the 14th,
14th, which is the council meeting.
we'll be here anyway,
That's the
folks.
short one, what we normally do at that meeting.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't get a second on the first date, huh? Okay, so basically the first vote doesn't count. So, Mr. Jones, you moved on item 17, November 13th. You moved. Mr. Lorraine, you second.
did.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 8-1. Item 18, schedule second budget public hearing. Mr. Jones, November 14th, sir. Second by Mr. Grow. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Okay, and now we need to discuss the enactment of the budget ordinance.
Which is November 28th, Mr. Chairman, is what we normally set it as.
November
The
28th.
second meeting in November.
Okay, Mr. Jones,
Possible enactment.
can we get a second to Mr. Jones on that? Mrs. Esposito seconds that. Any discussion? November 28th. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. All times, 5 o'clock, unless we're already in a prior council meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Section E, resolutions. Number 20, resolution requesting the administration to consider placing portalets at all Lafourche Parish boat launches. Moved by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Bourgeois. Mr. Lorraine, you have discussion.
Yes, we only have one boat launch in the parish that has, maybe I should say restrooms instead of bathrooms. And that's at Port Fourchon, because that belongs to the port. And so that's the reason why I requested that is because been getting a few complaints. And I think we should try it. And I think it should be by all boat launches. I don't know how many we have, 9 or 10 in the parish. I'm just guessing. And if the people don't take care of them, we'll just pick them up. And other than that, we could try it. If it doesn't work, we'll pick them up at that location. And if it works and the people take care of them, we leave them. And I think it's only fair.
All right, thank you, Mr. Otam.
Yeah, I'm not going to be voting in favor of portalets at this time until I think we get where there's somebody that is responsible for each of the parish boat launches and they're maintained. Then I'm not in favor of it because I know you mentioned Fourchon. Yeah, I grew up at that Fourchon launch, and that, if those who remember in the early days, that was one nasty place. It was always tore up. Thankfully, the port's taking pretty good care of it. But for instance, I'll go back to Lockport Boat Launch that I've been bringing up, for 2 years now. That's, highly neglected, if you will. Boat launches are kind of left up to the field officers to take care of. As we know, they have higher priorities, so they're very low priority. I've been asking for a long time, over a year now, that someone should be in charge of them, going out there maybe twice a week to these boat launches. Whether it's a recreation director or otherwise, and that's still, to this date, I'm not aware of it happening. At least 2 weeks ago, I know it still hadn't happened. So if someone's not going to be out there managing it and watching it, And I'm not gonna be in favor of putting more items there that need maintenance when we're not already doing the maintenance that needs to be done. And if this does pass, I would respectfully ask that it be a handicap accessible portalet. Once again, I'll be voting against it, but that's really what you're gonna need there. They do cost a little bit more. But I would be in support of local communities or local recreation districts, wanting to, take care of that area and putting portalets.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Melvin.
Yes, I mean, I fish a lot, and I can understand the need for a bathroom, but we just, put $1 million from BP to pay for garbage. How are we going to pay for portalet pickup? So I'm going to have to vote against this because of that. And of course, people destroying property just for no reason.
Mr. Groh.
I was just going to mention, if we had more information on what the cost would be or how many portalets could go at each place, it's just a little bit too vague. And to go with all portalets, at all locations. So.
Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, first of all, I'm making a request to the administration to look into it. I think I was very clear when I said, if the people don't protect it or take care of it, you pull it out. There's no problem. If they don't want to respect it and take care of it, you take it out. I think I said that pretty clearly. I said it again. All I'm trying to do is the request that the public wants. Now, if y'all don't want to do it, that's fine. But I'm not telling you to do it. I'm asking the administration to look into it, and maybe the next meeting they could come back and give us a price and tell us what it's going to be, and then you vote. This is just a simple request, gentlemen. Read it.
Mr. LaFont.
If you're looking at, I was in the portalet business at one time in my life. So you're looking at about $100 per portalet per month. So basically $900 a month. That's normally about the cost of a regular portalet. Could be a little more expensive depending on what companies. I know you got to put it out to bid, but here's what I'm going to tell you. When you put something out like that, I guess we'd have to put it out to bid. There's some companies in this area, some people that take really good care of their portalets, and there's some companies I've seen that take very bad care of their portalets. And I'm gonna tell you, in 105 degree or 90 degree or 85 degree heat, if those things are not cleaned out twice a week, you can't even walk in them. So just to think about that. So you're looking at twice a week cleanup. A regular portalet can be anywhere from $85 to $125 a week. Just something to consider before you vote.
All right, thank you. And, I think incurring more expenses right now for the parish, I just cannot vote for. So any further discussion on this? Being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Nay. Nays, hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fails, 4 or 5.
I need the 5, I don't know who it is. I need it 4 to 5. Hands.
Against, Mr. Groh, Ms. Esposito, myself, Mr. Otam, and Mr. Melvin. Number 22, resolution appointing one member on the Fire Protection District 2 Board. Can someone move for me?
21.
Oh, that wasn't 21?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. Number 21, resolution requesting the administration to provide the Lafourche Parish Council with salary rate of pay for each parish employee of any additions as well as any position changes for the year 2017 and 2018. Moved by Ms. Esposito, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 22, resolution appointing one member on the Fire Protection District Number 2 Board. Who has the list? Can you move for me? Can you?
Eric Benoit.
Second by Mr. LaFont. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 23, resolution reappointing one member to the South Lafourche Beachfront Development District Board representing the town of Golden Meadow. Moved by Mr. Lorraine.
Yes, we have one applicant. He wants to be reappointed, and they go ahead and selected him, the town, Kurt Chermy.
Okay, can we get a second? Second by Mr. LaFont. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 9-0, passes. Item 24, resolution reappointing one member to the Fire Protection District Number 6 Board. Mrs. Esposito.
Joni Boudreau.
Can we get a second? Second by Mr. Lafont. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Item 25, resolution reappointing one member on the Drainage District Number 6 Board. Can someone move for me?
Who moved? Mr. Melvin?
Benjamin Petrie.
Can we get a second? Second by Mr. Bourgeois. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 26, resolution reappointing one member on the Housing Authority of Lafourche Parish Board. Can someone move on that for me?
Yes. Phyllis Major.
Can we get a second? Mr. Bourgeois seconds. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Ms. Esposito, can you pick up on number 27 for me?
Number 27, resolution authorizing Lafourche Parish government to designate South Central Planning and Development Commission as the point of contact to administer the grant award for the State Homeland Security Grant Program, grant titled SHSP-FY 2017, grant number EMW 2017-SS00058-S01, on behalf of Lafourche Parish government and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Otan. Second by Councilman Lafont. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 28, resolution amending resolution number 17-053 that stated the following two people are authorized to sign all checks issued by Lafourche Parish Game and Fish Commission, Vincent Guillory and Chantel Cockerham, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Otan. Second by Councilman Lafont. Any discussion?
I just want to mention that the reason for that is Chairman Barry Plaisance resigned, but I do thank him for his service, but that's the reason for the change.
And Mr. Vincent Guillory, I know him personally. He's a really great guy for this community and has always been very helpful to the community.
Yeah, he's a previous chairman.
Any further discussion? Call it to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 9-0.
Okay, thanks, ma'am. All right, item 29, resolution accepting a low quote of American Disposal LLC in the amount of $3,900 for contractor services related to nuisance abatement ordinance number 3895 concerning the demolition of a condemned structure located at 216 East Barataria Street, Lockport, Louisiana 70374. Assessment number 009-264-5800 within the Lafourche Parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Otam. Second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 30, resolution accepting a low quote of American Disposal LLC in the amount of $3,800 for contractor services related to nuisance abatement ordinance number 3895 concerning the demolition of a condemned structure located at 243 North Barrier Street, Lockport, Louisiana. 70374, assessment number 00413-73000, within Lafourche Parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Otam. Second by Mr. Bourgeois. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Item 31, resolution accepting a low quote of American Disposal LLC in the amount of $5,900 for contractor services related to nuisance abatement ordinance number 3895 concerning demolition of a condemned structure located at 7147 Highway 1, Lockport, Louisiana 70374. Assessment number 00414-80110 within Lafourche Parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Otam. Second by Mr. Bourgeois. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 32, resolution accepting the Bayou Lafourche Multi-Use Trail Lafourche Parish Government Center Trailhead Project Award from the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development Transportation Alternative Program, TAP, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Can someone move for me? Moved by Mr. Bourgeois. Second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 33, resolution certifying to the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development that they have and will continue to comply with all FHWA DOTD requirements regarding the performance of interim inspections calculating the load carrying capacity and load posting deficient bridges under their jurisdiction for 2017. Moved by Mr. Otan, second by Mr. Bourgeois. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 34, resolution accepting the low quote of Andrew Bowden Wilders Contractor in the amount of $5,400 for contractor services related to nuisance abatement ordinance number 3895 concerning the demolition of a condemned structure located at 130 East 125th Street, Galliana, Louisiana, 70354. Assessment number 010-227-4800 within Lafourche Parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Bourgeois. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 35, resolution accepting the low quote of Andrew Baudouin Building Contract in the amount of $6,500 for contractor services related to nuisance abatement ordinance number 3895 concerning the demolition of a condemned structure located at 112 Hattie Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70364, assessment number 011-081-081-9800 within Lafourche Parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Bourgeois. Second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 36, resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull number 36. Defer to November 28th meeting.
November 28th. Number 36 has been deferred till November 28th. Thank you, sir. Number 37, resolution supporting the submittal of a 2017 Flood Mitigation Assistance FMA grant program application to the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness for funding to elevate flood-prone homes throughout the parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Bourgeois. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. And that's it for resolutions. Section F, presentations and or updates. Item number 38, we have Representative Beryl Amity, State Representative, District 51, to present a legislative review and update. Ma'am, welcome to the council meeting. Name and address for the record, please.
Ah, okay, that helps. Beryl Amadei, 302 School Street, Houma, Louisiana, State Representative for District 51. And thank you so much for welcoming me this evening. May I give these to your clerk to hand out?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, before you get started, I just want to thank you once again before you even start, because in my 6 years of being on this councilman, you've been pretty adamant on coming up and giving us a report, and it really helps out, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I really enjoy coming to let you know what we've been doing in Baton Rouge, and to welcome any questions that you may have. If I don't have the answers tonight, I'd be happy to come back with them or email you later. I think it's important that the people that we all represent know what we're doing. And I hope that with my presentation tonight that I don't bore anybody to sleep, but that I give you an overview of the many issues that we handled this year so far. Let's see, I've asked your clerk to hand out copies of what is currently in the capital outlay bill specific to Lafourche Parish, and I'll go over that a little bit later. That gives you time for everybody to get one. I'll get to that in just a few minutes. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to come and sit in, and I do enjoy hearing some of the things that are going on locally, just in case I wasn't aware of them already. So it's nice to be able to attend sometimes. It's more fun than just reading the minutes later or trying to find everything on TV. That can be difficult. So it's a pleasure to be here in person. Earlier this year, we had a special session before we went into our regular session, and then we had a special session afterwards. So last year and this year, that means we had 3 sessions each, and this year's not over yet. So let me tell you a little bit about what went on this year so far. At the end of our regular session, a very prominent official in Louisiana, in a pre-recorded message to the media, said, and I quote, "We've just witnessed an epic failure in leadership. The House leadership clearly chose to put party politics ahead of the people's business over the needs of the people of Louisiana." And I wrote that quote down so I could remember it because I'm coming here to say how things went from my perspective, because I disagree with this quote. When the Revenue Estimating Conference has been wrong 15 times in the last 9 years, when you've had mid-year shortfalls year after year, when you already know there's $1 billion fiscal cliff coming in the next 12 months, it's irresponsible and it's unrealistic to craft a budget that uses 100% of the REC forecast. That's not party politics. That's common sense. So was the session a failure? No, I don't believe that it was. The system actually worked as it's supposed to, because what we witnessed and what I experienced was independent houses struggling and debating to reach a compromise. We finally found what the majority could agree on. It just took a little bit longer than the deadline that was imposed on us by the end of the regular session. That's why we had to go into a special session. And we finished that a few days early, so we did get the work done. So here's what happened. The regular session began on April 10th, and on May 4th, the House passed a responsible standstill budget that would spend only 97.5% of the revenue that the state was projected to receive in the next year, leaving a $200 million cushion. Now, this was the House plan. This was something that we debated and polished up on the Appropriations Committee. You see, the governor proposes the budget, and House Appropriations gets it first, and then we do what we feel is needed. Then we send it to the House floor. Then it goes over to the Senate, where one of their money committees handles it. Then it goes to the Senate floor, and if they make any specific changes that we would need to review, it comes back to the House. And if we agree with their changes, it passes. And if we don't agree with their changes, it goes to a conference committee, where a small committee of people tries to work out the differences. And if they reach an agreement, it comes back to us, and we're done. Well, in the regular session, they didn't reach that agreement. So when it left appropriations, when it left the House, House Bill 1, which is the main budget bill, this is how we appropriate the money for most of what the state does, had a $200 million cushion. And the reason we did that is because we expected that the revenue forecast was going to be wrong, like it has been so many times. And it was already once this year. As I said, we were in a special session before the regular session. Now, we believed that if we pass a budget using 100% of the forecast, we would have to come back for a special session and implement mid-year, or worse, late-year budget cuts to departments at a time when they only have a little bit of their remaining budget left to adjust. That's a really difficult situation. So we passed this form of the budget over to the Senate on May 4th. A month later, the Senate had spent time revising our version of the budget. Meanwhile, the REC met again, and they came out with updates that reduced our $200 million cushion to only $100 million. So the forecast got worse already. On June 6th, the Senate sent House Bill 1 back to us using 100% of the forecast. The House proposed that we spend 98.6% instead, and that's where we reached a stalemate. The disagreement was whether the word appropriation was the same as spending or not. The House leadership believes if it's appropriated, it's as good as spent. The Senate leadership believes that if departments are instructed to hold off on spending a portion of what they've been appropriated, that the money is saved. So the regular session ended on June 8th, and we immediately, 30 minutes later, went into the special session. And a week later, the special session ended, and the version of House Bill 1 that finally passed appropriated 100% of what the REC said was coming, and it gave Commissioner Jay Darden the authority and the responsibility for reserving $60 million as a cushion by instructing certain departments at his discretion to spend less than they've been budgeted. So that's where the budget stood. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Altogether in the regular session, we handled 1,716 different instruments. 949 of those were bills, 717 were resolutions, and 50 of those were constitutional amendments. Of course, only 3 of those passed, and we're going to see those on the ballot this Saturday, and I'll tell you about those in a moment. So the budget has been passed at $28.2 billion in ordinary operating expenditures of the executive branch. Basically, that's almost every department in the state, or a total of $32.6 billion if you throw in the judiciary, the legislature, and some ancillary operations of the state. 8.7 billion is the state general fund. Now, when you hear that we have a shortfall, that's where it is. So when the state general fund is only 8.7 billion, and we're facing a shortfall of 1.6 billion, it gets really difficult to find where we're going to come up with that money. Now, in the state general fund, the 8.7 billion includes 3.6 billion for K through 12 education. Statewide, we have 720,000 public school students. We spend, on average, $12,000 per year per student from all sources. That's federal, state, and local spending. And that's on average students. As you know, special needs students require more funding. The state general fund includes $2.4 billion for the Department of Health. And you may have heard plenty in the media about how the Department of Health has been cut yet again. And that may be true, just from state general fund money. But the Department of Health actually grew a lot, more than 6%. I didn't write down the exact number for you tonight, but it grew because of federal money coming in. And some people might say, well, that's great for the state. But I want you to remember, whether it's local, state, or federal money, it's all tax dollars, and it came from all of our pockets. Higher ed in the state general fund got $1 billion. So now you know, with 3.6 to K through 12, 2.4 to health, and $1 billion to higher ed. When you want to know why they always get cut when we have a shortfall, it's because that's the bulk of the state general fund right there. Where else can we go to look for $1 billion? Besides passing the budget, which, by the way, is currently balanced and funds all the necessary services the best we could, the legislature didn't disappoint anybody who expects that never a dull moment atmosphere in Louisiana politics, because besides the budget, in a fiscal-only session, we also debated proposals that included the potential gas tax increase, monuments, hair braiding, sunscreen, and the name of a state high school. So you never know what topics are going to come before us. We passed bills that ban the paddling of students with disabilities, bills that work to combat the opioid drug crisis. And let me pause right here and let you know that it's truly a crisis. In Louisiana, there are currently more opioid prescriptions than there are people. There are currently more opioid prescriptions than there are people. Let that sink in and think about, how does that happen? So we have an opioid crisis in Louisiana. We passed bills that would provide terminally ill patients with access to experimental drugs. It gives them a chance to try. We addressed Medicaid fraud, and we passed a bill that requires driver's ed to include lessons on how to interact with police officers. We also stopped a lot of bills. These bills would have added additional taxes to small businesses and raised the prices of goods and services in our state, and it would have made our state even less economically competitive. We also passed, unfortunately, almost no fiscal reform. The whole purpose last year of passing the temporary tax measures, you know, the 1 penny sales tax and the 3 clean pennies where we took off some exemptions, the whole purpose of putting a sunset date on that was to keep the environment ripe for reform, and it didn't happen. Very few reform bills were proposed, and only 3 passed, and one of those was vetoed, so now we're down to 2. The 2 that passed will require a review of statutorily dedicated funds. We're going to review 50% of all those funds every 2 years, so that in a 4-year cycle, all of the dedicated funds should get reviewed and analyzed for return on investment and whether they're still necessary today, because many were passed years ago and circumstances change, and what if some are not needed or outdated? Another reform bill that passed had to do with state escrow accounts. And the one that was vetoed had to do with oversight of the transfer of funds between budget categories within a department. Because we found that within a given department, there was a whole lot of money being redirected for things that it wasn't officially budgeted for, namely funded vacancies. That means in a given department, they might be receiving in the budget funds to employ, let's say, 100 people that no one currently is in that position. So you would think that in that department, that money should still be sitting in the budget, right? Well, then you would be thinking like we did. And what we found was, in many cases, that money had been redirected within a department for other things. So we had hoped that the departments would report to us if they've redirected large sums of money, because honestly, if you really need $50,000 of copy paper and you're having to take it from your funded vacancy account, we want to know about that so that next year we can put it in the copy paper account, right? Well, the governor felt that that kind of oversight already exists, and so he vetoed the bill. So we'll be revisiting that to be sure that that kind of oversight really does exist. We passed about 9 justice reform and reinvestment measures. We passed a solar energy tax credit solution. So if you know of anyone who was caught in limbo waiting for their solar energy tax credit to come through, and we did away with it last year, well, we put it back. So have them call my office and I'll walk them through how to get that tax credit finally. We adjusted the motion picture production tax credit because we found that a lot of that benefit was going out of state, like, to California, and we want that benefit to remain here. And if that doesn't help, we'll get rid of it altogether. Don't tell the motion picture people I said that, sorry. That's later. We extended the enterprise zone program to the year 2021. We extended the research and development tax program to 2021, and these were to boost economic recovery. We made short-term rental programs eligible for a franchise tax credit. We included a tax credit for individual income tax for improvements on the residences of individuals with certain disabilities. What this means is if someone, let's say suddenly they are wheelchair-bound and they hire a carpenter to widen all the doorways in their home, they could save those receipts and they may be eligible for a tax credit on their tax return because they had to make those changes. TOPS, by the way, is fully funded this year. As you remember, we put a ceiling on it last year, and the reason we did that is because when TOPS first got funded years ago, it cost $30 million. Last year, it cost $375 million, and we figured out that on that trajectory, it can't continue. So we organized a task force that has been meeting, and they're supposed to report to us before the next session on ideas that may help TOPS be sustainable, because we want to keep the program and we want to fund as many students as possible, but obviously we can't just keep pouring more and more money into it every year. We passed the Coastal Protection Comprehensive Master Plan renewal. Every 5 years this comes back up, and this year I'm pleased to say that the coastal protection people really did their work, because when they first revealed the changes for the new edition of the master plan, they had left out a few projects that are important to my district, and people went to their meetings and kept pushing and pushing, and they were able to put some of those projects back in. So with all their homework, with all their public hearings and all their public meetings and presentations, they adjusted the master plan so that when it finally was presented in the House and Senate, it passed unanimously in both houses. So kudos to them. Lafourche Parish was affected by the March 2016 floods, and we passed a few measures that should help people recovering from floods, specifically one that I think will be very beneficial statewide and for a long time to come. House Bill 675, it's going to help to prevent contractor fraud. It's going to require residential contractors to provide to the homeowner their names, their contractor license number, their classification, their proof of liability insurance, and their workers' comp. That they have workers' comp. Now, let me give you a little update of things that have gone on since the sessions ended. I think it was August when the REC met and declared that the state of the budget was that we actually had $1,999. We were in the black by $1,999. And then I believe in September, they reported that the reports were coming in. The fiscal year that ended June 30th ended with a $100 million surplus. And everybody cheered and got excited, and that was good. It's better than a deficit. But I immediately put out a warning for people to not get too excited, because looking at this $100 million surplus, half of it came from an increase in individual income tax, individual and business income tax. The other half came from sales tax, which we believe was mostly generated through flood recovery efforts. So because people had to buy tons of sheetrock, for example, we had a boost in sales tax statewide, and that helped to bring up this $100 million surplus. So this, what I'm getting at is this is non-recurring. Well, let's hope it's not recurring. We don't want more floods. So it's not money we can expect to stay at that level. Secondly, looking at the $100 million is like looking at your checking account balance before you deduct your outstanding checks, because this was the revenue total. They hadn't totaled the expenses yet. And also, I'd like people to remember that it's a $100 million surplus, but we had recently used $99 million of the rainy day fund. So to get excited that you have the extra 100 in your bank account gets kind of depressing when you realize 99 of it came out of your emergency savings account. And last, the current budget, last year's budget and this year's budget again, includes a pushed Medicaid payment. Every month the state makes a payment to Medicaid 12 times a year. Well, a few years ago, they got into this routine where they push one of those payments off to next year. This is kind of like when your electric bill's due and your money's short. You just don't pay it. You let it roll over to next month, and then your bill's really big. This is what the state's doing with Medicaid. That's $140 million. So that's why Beryl is not all too excited about the $100 million surplus, because I don't really see it as a surplus. So better than a deficit, but nothing to party about yet. In 2018, we're facing a fiscal cliff of about $1.6 billion, and that is especially due to those temporary taxes rolling off. So, in 2018, the session is not a fiscal session, which means that if we're going to raise any taxes or fees, we have to do that in a special session. So I predict that we're going to be called into a special session, probably in February, to do something to try and reduce this fiscal cliff that we're facing. I predict that the solution is going to be a creative combination of cuts and increases. Members of the legislature have been meeting in small groups around the state for a couple of months now, and we've been talking about all the possibilities. None of them are pretty, but it must be done. So tomorrow, we actually have a House retreat. So the whole House, it's bipartisan, the whole House is going to meet tomorrow, and we're going to discuss what we've come up with so far. The governor has been telling the media that he's not calling us into a special session unless or until he finds out that we have a plan that a majority could agree on. I don't know if we're there yet. I don't think that we'll be there tomorrow. This is our first meeting all together, and then it's just the House. It's not even the Senate, so we still have a ways to go. I do accept prayer. The constitutional amendments that are going to be on the ballot on Saturday, number one will be a property tax exemption for materials delivered to a construction site. What this means is that the parish assessor can't go out to a piece of property where the home or the business is not built yet and assess it based on the pile of lumber he sees sitting there. In order to assess the building, he has to wait until it's built and ready for occupancy. That's what that amendment would do. Number two is a property tax exemption for the surviving unmarried spouse of a police officer, firefighter, or medical first responder killed in the line of duty. You might remember not long ago, the state passed an amendment that provided this sort of exemption for the surviving spouse of a military member killed in action. And that's what this does. It includes first responders. And number three is a dedication of any new gas tax to be used only for construction and maintenance of roads. Now, number three does not pass a gas tax. It does not increase a tax. It simply says that in the future, should we happen to pass an increase in the gasoline tax, that increase must be used for actual projects. It can't be used to grow the Department of Transportation. It can't be used for salary increases and such. It must be used to actually build or maintain roads, bridges, and what have you. So those are the three amendments. We'll be seeing those Saturday for anybody who hasn't early voted. Now turning to capital outlay. Okay. Lafourche Parish currently has $159 million of projects in the capital outlay bill. In the best case scenario, because of the way the capital outlay bill works, the most you can expect to see is $29 million in funding. So not all of those projects will be funded in the current year. The most you will possibly see is $29 million worth, and that's best case scenario, and that has to do with the state's bond rating and so on. The projects for Lafourche, there are 17 of them. 2 of them are shared with other parishes. For example, Morganza to the Gulf is a multi-parish project. 4 of them are Nichols State University specific, and all the rest are Lafourche Parish specific, just for Lafourche Parish. There are a variety from sewer to roads to buildings, and you can look at those on the list that I passed out. Okay, I wanted to briefly explain that because you're the parish council, and someone in your office already knows this, but I'd like everyone to be a little familiar with it. I'm still learning it. Capital outlay is complicated. Okay, when the parish wants to request capital outlay funding, a new application and a legislative letter of support must be submitted each year for all projects currently appropriated in House Bill 2, regardless of the project status. So even if the project's been built for years and it's only hanging out in the bill until it's paid for, you still have to submit a new application every year. They have to be submitted no later than November 1st, so that deadline is coming up. The letter of support has to be included, and so on. They want you to do this electronically. So how are capital outlay projects appropriated? The executive branch begins developing House Bill 2 in November, after that November 1st deadline. And then House Bill 2 has to be introduced in the House by the 8th day of session. And then the House and Senate takes action, and then the governor has line item veto power. How are the capital outlay projects funded? The most common source is general obligation bonds, and those are done by appropriations priorities. The general obligation appropriations are not funded until the lines of credit are recommended by the Department of Administration and approved by the State Bond Commission. What happens to projects that aren't funded? If the Department of Administration does not recommend a project for a line of credit, or if the State Bond Commission does not approve the line of credit recommendation for the project, it's as if the appropriation never existed. So you have to submit the capital outlay application and the legislative letter of support again by November 4th the next year. So to date, there have been no changes to the capital outlay, so all the projects you see on your desk right now are still in the bill. And there have been no new lines of credit recommended or approved this fiscal year yet. So we're now in the second quarter of the fiscal year, so there's still hope that some of these projects could receive funding and move forward. There's no further action required by Lafourche Parish at this time for funding in the current fiscal year. But there is a November 1st deadline for submitting the paperwork and the application for any and all projects that you desire to see included in the bill in 2018. So I just wanted to be sure that you know that, and I'm pretty sure that those people on your staff who are responsible for this already know this, but hopefully that gives you a greater understanding of the whole process. Now, that's all I have for you tonight, and I'd be happy to take any questions, and if I don't know the answers, I'll get back to you.
Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I've been to the legislature a few times this summer. And first of all, I want to thank you for coming when you're all in session. I kind of kept an eye on you.
I hope I was
You do a
behaving.
real good job.
Well, thank you.
I was watching you and just how you react, and you really get involved. And
Thank
one thing I can tell you, you do your homework. Okay?
I
I hope
appreciate
that gains you some votes and doesn't lose you any.
I'm not campaigning yet, but okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, no further comments. Thank you, ma'am.
Very good.
We appreciate you coming to make that presentation to us.
Yes, sir. Call anytime I can help with anything.
Okay, we appreciate it. Okay, item 39, Dr. Laura Batto, President of the Commission for Women, to present an annual report. Might want to make sure the mic is turned on, the little white button.
Good evening. Something's wrong with my throat tonight. I know that's a comfort to some of you. Dr. Laura Batto, 917 Jackson Street, Thibodaux, Louisiana. I serve as the president of the Lafourche Commission on Women, and I say on women because certainly if there was a man who would like to be on the commission, he is certainly welcome. But the commission does study the needs and resources required by and available to women. I have served on every state commission on women since Governor Edwin Edwards, and then asked the parish council to establish the Lafourche Commission on Women in the 1980s. And you've allowed me to continue to serve on that commission ever since. The Lafourche Commission on Women is program directed rather than research directed, as many state commissions are. Our mission includes education in many areas, but especially in leadership and economic enhancement. It includes opportunities available to women, and economic enhancement is, of course, the primary in that, and the promotion of public service and women's efforts in that area. Although we have more than one program, our signature program is the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy. In your folder, you will see on the right side an incomplete but partial list of the girls who attended the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy in 2017. And Councilman Lorraine, I know that it would be, that you would find it hard to believe that I could make a mistake, but I did. In that this list of girls is incomplete. In fact, the young attendee I have with me tonight is not listed on this. It was accidentally. I will get you the complete list. All right, so the girls who attended the academy are on the right side, a partial list. That list is given to Nicholls State University so that we can follow up with all girls for whom we have tried to sell Lafourche Parish and the opportunities here. Also is the agenda of the entire Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy. Should you like the bios of anyone who was a speaker, we will be happy to supply that. Also, and this is very important, every year we ask you for $25,000, especially directed toward that signature program. But if you will look at the list of partners and sponsors, we take that $25,000 and we multiply it by 8. So we don't only ask the parish to help with the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy or the other programs about which I will tell you. Right now, I would like to introduce one of the attendees at the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy. Lexi, I will let you introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Lexi Willett. In 2016, I was given the opportunity to sit in on the, I was given the opportunity to sit on the conference as an observer to see its benefits and recognize my place and where I could fit. And this past upcoming year, I was actually able to attend as an attendee. And I don't mean to sound like a parrot mocking exactly what she said, but the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy is an overnight camp. Well, not really a camp, it's a program held at Nicholls State University in Thibodaux that is focused on providing the young leaders of our state with the resources and connections that are necessary to effectively apply themselves in their own communities. At LGLA, members are put into groups, given a mentor, and assigned a service project that is presented at the end of the week before we all depart and go home. And the group that presents the most effective project, idealing to the environment and its capabilities and things of that sort, their project is then introduced to their school as an idea of ways that the children can get involved and, build onto their economy and help with everything. And whenever I attended in 2017, I was a member of my group, which was called the North Group. And we designed a project that was called Green Week. And the main focus of Green Week was that every day of the week, there would be a different acronym for a phrase meant to enhance the environment. And the activity that would be done on that day is that children were to create a costume made out of recycled materials that they found at their house or at school or anything on campus or anything, and embrace the conservation of the environment. Now, unfortunately, our idea did not win, but through all the information and the people we got to talk to and get information from and resources, we gained a lot of information on ways that we ourselves can help our environment and conserve it. And additionally to that, I ran for the 2017 Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy Ambassador. And my whole motto to that was that I wanted to change the face of leadership. And by this, I mean changing the perspective that people have whenever they hear a leader. Because it's not always said, it's sometimes people believe a leader to come from a specific background or, make certain grades at school or be a great influence in their community. And I myself am not one of those people. I don't come from a privileged two-parent background. I don't go to one of the best schools. Like, I'm not trying to knock Thibodeau High, but I don't go to one of the best schools. I was a Trojan last year. I love my Trojans. I love Central. But I go to Thibodeau High now, and I don't come from a privileged background like some of the girls over there were. And I wanted to let kids in the community that come from backgrounds like mine. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, do you all know what the Lafourche Parish Juvenile Justice Center is in Thibodeau? I'm a resident there. I don't live in the detention part. I'm not a bad kid. I didn't do anything. But I live in the group home part. And I want children in the community that fear going into programs like this where they are recognized for their strengths and they get to tell their story and they get to be involved and feel a part of something. I want to encourage them to step outside of their boundaries because a lot of kids are scared. Like I myself, I was terrified of going to LGLA the second year as a member because the first year I wasn't recognized. I was just there. I was just listening. But the second year, this previous year, I was going to be a member and I was terrified because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be treated different. They're not going to like me because I'm a foster child. But whenever I got there, it was gone. I was treated the same as anyone else. No one even knew I was a foster child until I told them I was a foster child in my ambassador speech. I was treated the same. I got to speak and I got the same tips as all the other girls did. And I got to meet people and responsible people and people that have succeeded in the community, not only women, but men as well. Mr. Lorraine was over there and he spoke to us while we were over there and we got to meet many people. And I'm sorry, you guys. I got to speak with successful role models in our community and they gave me tips and inspired me to want to do more in my community, to be more and to step out of my comfort zone. And with all the violence that's going on in the world, the shootings that are happening and the terrorist attacks and everything, going there gave me a sense of hope that maybe if someone was able to grasp the attention of today's youth and say, hey, I know this is what's going on, but this is not how the world has to be. There are other options. It's more to it than what you see in the media or what you see on the news. And they could put that into those kids' heads and they could help shape them and help mold them and give them the resources and everything that's needed to build a better future, then I think that it could happen. And I think that LGLA is a great start. And I say this because from my own experience, I went there and I didn't really think much of it, but whenever I went there, I left with a whole different attitude on things. You know, I was more motivated. I went to school, I got into extra classes, I did all kinds of things. I started making phone calls, you know, wanting to volunteer here, wanting to volunteer there, so I could have and obtain the knowledge I need to become what I want to be when I get older, because it gave me that push, you know? And I think that this is a valid cause to fund because, one, they're breaking stereotypes by introducing diversity, and by that I mean, you know, that they're not only they're not only focusing on a specific social group. They're bringing kids like myself from a group home, you know, despite however they may feel or whatever their prior thoughts or knowledge is based on the group home. They brought me in there. You know, they brought kids from all around Louisiana, from different backgrounds, different everything, and we all got to be together and be treated equally and learn the same things. And two, I think this is valid because they provide youth with the resources, connections, and knowledge that would otherwise not be available to us at home. I myself, living at the Lafourche Parish Juvenile Justice Center, I never knew who Miss Lauren Battle was, except I knew her grandson at school. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know she had a PhD in communications and business, and I never even knew about this woman. I never even knew we had a Lafourche Parish board. I didn't know they had this, you know. But going to LGLA, I got to meet people like you all, like Mr. Lorraine. I'm keep saying him because I met him already. I got to meet people that were successful and can help me and can provide me with the knowledge and tips and resources I need to be one of you sitting up here. You know, Miss Spacito and Miss Babin, the council clerk. So I could be up here one day with y'all if that's what I want to do. 3, I think it's a valid source because it gives us a sense of hope. Because like I said, you know, with all the violence, I go here and I meet with these people and I speak with these girls and I see the potential. And not only myself, I find potential in myself and I see potential in other individuals. And it makes me think, you know, maybe we have a little bit of hope left, a little slither of hope. And that's what LGLA gave me. 4th, LGLA helps mold and inspire teens to want better in their community. You know, they help us, they give us, I guess it's kind of biased. I don't know. They want us, a lot of people want me to join politics. I'm not really a political type, but that's what they want me to do. And finally, they give us the extra push that we need to not only want better, but to be the better that we want to see in the community. And that is my main focus. You know, I want to be able to incorporate people from everywhere into learning and obtaining the knowledge that they need to be able to be what they want to be in the world, be what they want to see in the world, you know? And LGLA does that. It does it with women, doesn't do it with boys, but it does that with women. And I think it's a great start. I love LGLA. I want to go for next year. I'm setting up a resume right now because I want to attend next year. And I really hope that y'all, you know, you fund it. And on my closing note, I'm going to say, I hope that you all consider this program so that in the upcoming year, the commission, the Lafourche Parish Commission for Women, like she said, for women, and the Louisiana Center of Women in Government and Business may join together and will be able to sponsor another year of lighting the torch and leading.
Outstanding.
Thank you, Lexi. And thank you, Representative Amade, because we do partner with the Women's Caucus to go to the mansion and with the Workforce Development Agency of the Governor to show these students How much do you want to earn later in life? These are the jobs that will give you that kind of economic enhancement. And this is the education that you need to do so. So we do have these financial partners that I want you to note who think that the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy is important, but we need you as a foundation. And also the governor, during the special session, he not only participated one day in LGLA, but he participated one day with the caucus and the First Lady at the mansion and workforce development. And then during the special session, he came to Thibodeau to let Nichols State and everyone know how important that the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy, which is the commission's signature program, is. So with that on this, I will just let you know a little bit about the other programs that we are doing. In addition to LGLA, this past year, we also did Congress to Campus. Now, Congress to Campus is put on by the National Association of Former Members of Congress, and it has to be held on a university campus. So we worked with them and had a tremendous yearning, I guess, to be a part of this from the students at Nichols State University. I was shocked to be called by every dean on campus that they wanted their classes to participate. So that we did also, and this is what's coming up. The Louisiana Women's Leaders Conference on Business and Government and the Hall of Fame. Now, on the second side of your packet, you'll see first a picture of Elizabeth Smart. I think everyone knows who Elizabeth Smart is, and she is a keynote at this conference and Hall of Fame. Now, the Hall of Fame is really a program of the Louisiana Center for Women in Government and Business, but the Lafourche Commission on Women has a vote in who is honored. And the nominations come from across Louisiana, from 8 different leadership councils in Louisiana, from any university in Louisiana, from any commission in Louisiana. And the people who will be honored this year are also in your packet on the left, and they do include, for the first, I mean, they've always included someone from Lafourche Parish, but I was shocked to see the votes because I do not have a vote. And we have many who are being honored. Well, we have U.S. Senator Mary Landrieu, who was our first U.S. Senator in Washington, D.C. for Louisiana. We have past State Representative Karen St. Germain, U.S. Marshal Jenny May, Lafourche Parish Council Vice Chair Lucy Sposito, Eva Shanklin, who is President Emeritus of the NAACP, Kim Sport, who worked with the Supreme Court as an attorney, Marguerite Irwin, for her corporate leadership in finance, entrepreneur Yvonne LaFleur in fashion, Elaine Musso, from a person who helps the center primarily at Nichols State University, and then men who support strong women, and Thibodeau City Councilman Chip Batto and Dr. Roger Tollery are being honored in that category, men who support strong women. Okay, in addition to that, I think, because all of you are invited to this, and you will all get an invitation, the conference that is being held in conjunction with the Hall of Fame has not only Elizabeth Smart as a keynote, but a young man who went to Nichols State University is now a foreign correspondent in Israel. And he will share with the conference the opportunities for women in Israel, and by Skype, a member of parliament from Israel, And the differences there and the differences in the United States for women. And we will also have non-traditional opportunities for women, and we will have opportunities stemming from Hollywood South. So all of this will be presented at the conference, and the conference is a program of the Commission on Women with the Center for Women in Government, but the Hall of Fame is a program of the Center for Women in Government. And you will see, too, in your packet, a list of people throughout the years who have been honored and how many come from Lafourche. So do you have any questions?
No, ma'am, I think you're off the hook.
Well, I'll be back. Thank you very much. And if there's anything that we have not sent you, Carlene, that you need, Christy Pape is our secretary, and she does think we're up to date. So thank you all for supporting the Commission on Women since 1985. But 9 years with the Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy. And I hope that we will continue this great partnership between the parish and the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Baddow. We appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you.
Okay, next presentation, number 40, Mr. Don Griffin, Chairman, and Mr. Bob Gorges, Vice Chairman of the Leeville Fishing Village and Cultural Preservation Commission, to give a report.
Well, Mr. Parlew.
Name and address for the record,
I'm
please.
about to give it to you if you don't interrupt me. My name is Bob Gouge, not Gorgeous. You can see I'm not gorgeous. My address, P.O. Box 389, Matthews. I'm the vice chair, the chairman of the Leeville Cultural Preservation Commission. Don Griffin couldn't make it, he got called out. So I'm here taking his place. And what I want to do is give y'all a report on the commission, what the commission does. This is our second report. The first report came on the kayak tournament that was held at the Leeville Public Boat Launch, and gave y'all a visual presentation. I was hoping that the projector was working so I could give you more video on this, but it's not, so I'll just zip right through here. The commission is made up of 5 commissioners. Those commissioners are appointed by different government officials. We meet quarterly, and at every one of our meetings since we were brought into existence, I want to compliment Councilman Lorraine because he's been there. Our meetings are open to the public, and you can come to them in Galliano, right there at the Veterans Building. I wanted to ask, how many of y'all have been to the boat launch or even been to Leeville? Let's start with Leeville. Okay, so we got 3, 4, oh, we got quite a few. I'm impressed. And how about the boat launch? Excellent, excellent, a majority. Well, the boat launch, of course, has been a real economic benefit for the businessmen in Leeville, which I am one of them. If you look at the town of Leeville, you'll see it's a collection of marinas, Topwater Marina, Griffin Marina, Boudreaux's Waterfront Hotel, bait shops, Terry's, Gale's, Demir's, Bada Bing, trailer parks, people that bring campers from all over and park there and haul their campers out when hurricanes come. And then also fish docks. Believe it or not, if you come into Leeville, take a good look, you'll notice on the left, just past Tides, and I'm gonna get to restaurants in a second, just past Tides, you're gonna see where the long liners, that's the big offshore boats that go out there and catch tuna, swordfish, and stuff like that, and bring them into the dock, 18-wheelers back up, and haul them off. And then just a little bit further down on the same side of the street, Griffin's Marina and Ice, a major supplier to the commercial fishermen, the shrimpers, big ice factory store. They also have attached snapper, commercial snapper industry. So Leeville is a place where the commercial fishermen and the sport fishermen get along together. I also wanted to point out the projects that the commission has worked on and has done. Of course, kayak, the World Championship, I gave you a presentation on that already. But I also wanted to tell you we have another World Championship coming, and the commission is aggressively going after that to be held again in Leeville at the kayak boat launch. We're in competition with Venice. And of course, our lieutenant governor is Venice-oriented, Billy Nungesser. So we're hoping that the fishermen have a say and they come back to Leeville, because one thing that Leeville has that most other places don't is it's fisherman friendly. You can have a kayak, a boat, whatever, you can come to Leeville and fish. Even if you don't have a boat, now we have the fishing pier, and I'm going to get to that shortly. But that's what we're working on as far as the kayak tournament goes. Another thing that's happening right now is we're coming up with brochures for Leeville. And the beauty of this project is it's not going to cost any of the people in Leeville any money. We've got designated money from the Tourism Commission. So if you go to Grand Isle, you can go to any of the stores, you see these brochures with a map that tell you exactly where everything is, and it covers all the businesses. All the businesses from Topwater Marina, which is just north of Leeville, all the way to the south end to BBY Marina. All of that's going to be included. So the brochures, we're almost at completion with that. And like I say, the Tourism Commission is going to end up paying for that. Speaking of the Tourism Commission, this Leeville Commission is really involved with the Tourism Commission. Timothy Bush is major player. He, like Daniel Lorraine, come to all of our meetings. The final project that we had that we worked really hard on is Leeville Boat Launch, and it's finally completed. One thing that I got to point out to you about the new fishing pier, the fishing pier is not, and I emphasize not, a handicapped pier. It's accessible to handicaps. Now, they do have to roll their handicap chair through a few rocks to get to just limestone hard rocks. It's fairly easy. The pier has this reputation already of being handicapped because it's flat and it's made of aluminum. It was made of aluminum because in the design phase, Picciola and Associates did such a good job. And let me mention, I sure am glad y'all paid Joe for that, because he did a hell of a job on that project. Went to Florida, looked at fishing piers, how they would last long, how they would weather a hurricane. And so he put a flat surface there. And as y'all know, money's tight. And we lost the $500,000 to do the pier. So Councilman Lorraine went out there and beat the concrete and got the money. I know I went with him on a couple of the meetings when he was soliciting the funding, but we got that. And certainly there are things that we can do to the pier, but we need additional money. But don't worry, we're not going to come to y'all and ask you for the money. We're going to go out there and beat the concrete again. Now, one other thing that the commission does is something that you mentioned at the last meeting, Mr. Orman. You said in the old days, and I'm going to be 66 years old, believe it or not, so I consider myself old. But in the old days, you had people that take care of the launch. They kind of look after it. Not a pier boss or anything like that. I'm talking about people that go over there and pick up the trash, keep the place clean, and make sure that it's functioning. We've got 5 different people that are actively involved in monitoring the trash cans, monitoring the whole boat launch facility, monitoring the fishing pier, and making sure that everything is good. One of them is Mr. Lorraine. In fact, Mr. Lorraine has excessively, and I emphasize excessively, been fishing that pier, along with a couple of other, shall I say, politicians. I hear that the new record for the pier was done by the parish president. Caught 20 trout in 15 minutes. Not bad off that fishing pier. I also have some statistics. Not only do we monitor the pier and go pick up the trash, make sure the cans are done, but we also monitor the boat launch. And I've got some figures here for you. Back to you, Mr. Otan. I know Lockport launch is used quite a bit. It's sentimental to me because I met my partner there, you know, and we'd go to the park on a regular basis. I called you because I wanted to help you with perhaps some funding revenues other than the parish, places that you possibly could get some funding for. But you brought that up, that people don't watch the launches and the piers and stuff. Well, this is one that gets watched regularly. In fact, every Saturday, we meet at Griffin's Marine and Ice, not the commission, but the people that watch the pier. And we compare notes, you know, did we get the garbage picked up? Is it clean? What can we do? You know, keeping an eye on it. And we really do that hard. And that's why that $2 million project has been so successful for the businesses in Leeville. So here's some statistics for you. On a good weekend, no rain, good fishing weather, you're going to have 65 to 74. That's the average of vehicles with trailers on them parked at the Leeville boat launch. We've had the most people on the pier so far, and keep in mind the pier hadn't been open but maybe a month or so. The most on the pier was 43. 43 people on that fishing pier fishing, which has really been awesome. So this is a project that reams nothing but success. And the commission wants to thank the council because it took 10 years at least to get this project done. I see the new councilman here. I see y'all struggle to get your projects financed and everything else. But I can tell you from working on this project the whole term, it took a long time to get everything done, get the funding and do everything. Let's see if I've got anything else here. Oh, one of the other big draws to the fishing pier, Boudreaux's Waterfront Motel, where I operate my business out of there. They had 9 rooms booked the first weekend of pier, just from people, like Mr. Lorraine was saying, Gramercy, the areas outside of the parish. They came and stayed there. Also, down at the end by the boat launch, you've got Marshmaster's Guide Service, and they have some really nice housing there, comparable to the Holiday Inn. Not the Waldorf Astoria, but nice. And they are bringing in a bunch of people along with Topwater Marina. So not only is the boat launch a great success, but the fishing pier is too. Future, what are we going to be doing here soon? We're working on paving the pavilion, coming up with the funds for that to have a concrete floor, and also attaching concrete to the aluminum ramp. Maybe, can't be more than 100, 200 feet to get to where if somebody is handicapped, they'll be able to roll their chairs up through the rocks and not have an issue. Y'all already talked about porta potties. The commission has talked about that. We even talked about putting in a sewer system, but we know what has happened at other launches that had permanent bathrooms. Also, another consideration is if you're going to put any kind of porta potty or whatever, a handicapped accessible porta potty is quite expensive. So, and again, the pier isn't a handicapped fishing pier. If it was, all of these things would have been done in the initial project from PCOLA. We're also securing more rodeos, not just the World Championship for kayakers, but fishing rodeos that traditionally go elsewhere. Now that the pier's open, you've got a pavilion, so we're going to utilize that to hold rodeos and bring even more people into Leeville. We're also going to try and tap into the water line. There's a water line that runs across the boat launch, close to where the pier is. If we can tap into that, then the volunteers, Mr. Ormond, then take care of the place. Believe it or not, I got a pressure washer that I carry in my truck. So we'll be able to get out there and wash the slime and do some cleaning and make it really presentable. I've got to tell you, so far, Mother Nature has been cleaning. Again, PCOLA's design work to where showers are going to rinse off that pier and keep it clean. Again, I wish we had the projector so I could show you all the people that fish there and the fish that they're catching. And again, want to thank the council. Also, in closing, at the last council meeting, Mr. Paraloo brought up right at the end of the meeting, and oh, by the way, one of my jobs on the commission is to watch every council meeting. Every one. That's my job. I watch it. I take notes. Mr. Paraloo brought up an anonymous letter that was sent. And I caution you when you say the word anonymous, because several of the businesses in Leeville have come under the wrath of anonymous calls. Boutros Waterfront Motel was raided. My room, raided. Supposedly had a cache of weapons and drugs. Had a SWAT team come in, tossed one of the rooms. Another one of the rooms that the person anonymously called in was room number 1. And there were people from out of town that were sleeping in that room because they had fished early in the morning. So imagine what it's like when a SWAT team comes rolling in and you're wore out from catching fish, and they got weapons drawn, helmets, vests, the whole 9 yards. I wasn't even there when it happened, but I have security cameras, and I watched it, and it was appalling. Anonymous call. So this, what you passed out to the council members, I can look at this anonymous, and I can tell you a couple of things. First off, the end of it is signed, a concerned Lafourche Parish citizen and business taxpayer. This Lafourche Parish citizen doesn't even know how to spell Lafourche. Now, you live in the area and you're a business person, you know how to spell Lafourche. And then if you look at the first picture, you can see in the picture that the barricades are still up. The pier isn't even open when these pictures were taken. Then the sign issue, the gate issue, that's already been taken care of. You know, so all these concerns, Mr. Paraluke, you don't have to worry about because they've already been taken care of by either the commission or by Councilman Lorraine or the people, Mr. Orman, that take care of the boat launch. Already been done. When that was handed out or you received it, old news.
I should have went to you with it, right?
Right. Or not me. You could have come to the council, the commission, and somebody would have come to the meeting and answered your questions.
I had no question. I don't even know why they mailed that to me. When I received this letter with pictures and things like that,
yeah.
I mean, you know, that's not my role to enforce the Leeville boat launch and
Right,
fishing
and
pier. Wait, hold on a second.
It's not mine either.
You called me 2 days later. You should have came to me, Mr. Paralu. Well, you know what? No, I shouldn't have. As the chairman of this council, I felt it was my duty just to enter what I received into the official record, and that's what I did. Like it or not, it would happen again if I received anything else.
Okay, I don't dislike it. You know, I appreciate when somebody comes to the commission, comes to a meeting or talks to any of the members of the commission about something that they'd like to see done. We're open-minded. It's America. So we try to take...
I'm open-minded too. That's why I offered it to the public record for you, sir.
Try to take care of it. Well, you should be happy that we made the effort to check this out. You know, so...
So as someone should.
Right, exactly. So in closing, again, I want to thank the council. I really do, because without y'all, we wouldn't have got this project done. The previous administration and this administration. I also want to thank Mr. Bourgeois, Mr. Lorraine, and the parish president, who every time something has been done for Leeville, the Kayak World Championship, the boat launch, the dedications, whatever, they have been there. They've taken the time to come and see what goes on in Leeville. And we really appreciate everything that y'all do. So that's the end of my report. I have cards with me at the end of the meeting. I'm going to give you one, Mr. Paralu. So in case there's anything that should come up and you need a quick answer, you don't even have to call me. You can call Daniel Lorraine.
I'm good. Y'all take care of yourself down in Leeville.
Yeah.
Mr. LaFont, what do you have, sir?
I just want to let, thank you for coming, but I want to let you know that not only do people spell Lafourche wrong in there, our own Daily Comment spelled it wrong on their website, so, and they're a local paper.
Right. Mr. O-Town.
I'll be a few minutes. First off, I'm gonna start off by thanking you, Bob, for y'all keeping an eye on down there. I will say, though, I hope you don't rub some of the people that go fishing on that the wrong way, because sometimes you seem to get a little upset with people, and I think you speak a little bit in such a manner that I can see where some people may get rubbed by the wrong way. But once again, I thank you as a volunteer for being down there, because I know the neglect that goes on, you know, here. As you know, I bring up boat launches all the time. The last year and a half since I've been in office, the boat launch has been totally neglected. Huge potholes. 2 weeks ago, grass was probably 8 foot tall. So even though I bring it up, it's not being addressed. I thank you for doing that. I will challenge you, however. You mentioned that Leeville has what others don't. I wrote down when you said that. Kayaks, fishing. Well, you know what? From an economical standpoint, you're probably correct. But what I'm up here fighting for is for my residents. Right. For the Raceland community, Kramer communities, Lockport communities, for those people that live in those areas to be able to have the same access as visitors coming from Baton Rouge and Gonzales do to Leeville. So it's a little bit different perspective, but certainly I'm on board with having access to people. But I want to fight for my residents. There's the taxpayers that's putting up some of that money, and you know what? We need to address all of them, not just one. So I don't want to seem like there's preferential treatment. And I think it's great that you're going out and, you know, you mentioned about paving. That's great. Love to see it at all the boat launches. With respect to the portalets, we voted down tonight because I know it's a huge item. In Lockport, there was a restroom facility that was installed. and it's meant to be a restroom facility that requires little to no maintenance. You know, there's no odor that comes from it. Well, that was to the tune of $100,000, and that was on high elevation. So, you know, and once again, I know it went on in Fourchon, so it's not that I don't want people to have access. I would recommend that this commission get together and try to make some facilities available in Leeville. There's a bunch of businesses out. Can anybody provide some restroom facilities? Can we tag along? And maybe something can be worked out. Maybe that signs could be put, hey, free restrooms here, and, you know, maybe it'll bring some of y'all some business, since it's much more from an economical standpoint, I think, in Leeville than it is in the other areas of the parish. But then you mentioned the use of the boat launch. That's 65, 74 vehicles. That's going to be on a weekend. It's not going to be on a weekday. The launches throughout the rest of the parish are used heavily during the weekdays also, because people are going to camp. So there's a little bit of a balance. I went on a Saturday. I don't remember the numbers. There was, I want to say, 20-something vehicles in Leeville. This was before the fishing pier was open. There was, I think, 5 or so in Fourchon, which is the harbor, you know, the port controls. And at that time, there was 50-something at the Lockport launch. So numbers can go a bunch of different ways. You're right, though, it is a utilized launch. I think more so by out-of-towners than in-towners. Not that I'm discouraging that, because we know we need the economics. But I want to put everything into perspective and how I'm viewing it, you know, from my vantage point. So I do think it's great that you had up to 43 on the pier. Last time I passed, there was nobody on the pier, unfortunately. I know at times there probably won't be. I think Daniel and I had this discussion the other day, and I think him and his brother, I think he was telling me we're the only ones there, and they did great. The more the word gets out, I think more people are going to be out there utilizing it. I do hope, though, that you keep an open mind, that, you know, not to rub people the wrong way, because you're from there, and sometimes, you know, out-of-towners may see things a little differently, and I think maybe that's where some of the blow-up came from. But with all that said, I went and made a full circle. Once again, I do want to thank you for whatever you're doing down there, and you know, and I certainly support. I know Mr. Don is a constituent of mine, and he feels pretty strongly about the you know, about the launch down there, and I know he has a business down there as well. But anyway, as much as I can support you guys, I certainly will.
Mr. Lorraine?
Yes, I was able to talk to Senator Chabert. There was some rumbling out there that there's probably just a little handful of people trying to get rid of this commission. And I spoke roughly to him, and he said he would have definitely talked to me about it, because it's in my area, and I don't think it's going to happen. But anyway, I just want to say that I want to let this council know how this commission was formed. In regular session, 213, Senate Bill number 238 by Senator Chabert. The commission shall include the following members. 1 member appointed by the councilman elected to represent the 9th Council District of Lafourche Parish Council. 1 member appointed by the Lafourche Parish President. 1 member appointed by the senator elected to represent the 20th Senatorial District, which is Chabert. 1 member appointed to elected to represent the 54th Representative District, which is Struck Disclair. 1 member appointed by the Lieutenant Governor, who happens to be Billy Nungesser. Each member of the commission shall be a resident or own property within Lafourche Parish. Now, this is the kicker. Each member of the commission shall serve at the pleasure of the person appointing the member. It doesn't have to come to this council. It doesn't have to go to the governor. It's whoever appointed him, that's who serves. Now, I want to also make one thing clear. There's a lot of rumors going on out there. Bob Goosh is no police officer. I am no police officer. If there's a problem with music on the pier, if there's a problem with kids running on the pier, I'm going to call the Harbor Police or the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. I'm not going to take it into my own hands. The only time I'm going to take it into my own hands if I'm there if somebody's trying to kill somebody to help them out. But I will not get involved. I have a phone in my pocket at all times, and they will be notified. In fact, the Port Commission visited that pier every morning, every night, and in the middle of the night. It's a routine check. And there's a lot of rumors going on that we are in control. Parish has nobody hired to do this. We're not doing it. I'm an elected official. I'm not in charge. I go to the commission. I just read you how the commission was appointed. And speaking to the senator is going to remain from what he told me, plus a few other things. And I want to make it clear that Mr. Goosh is not a police officer. And I've always said I'll do anything to help anybody with a boat launch. I think I've done that. And I'm gonna stick to my words. I think there's $150,000 in the budget for your boat launch, Orman, and I'm gonna support it, just like I supported Miss Lucy's one the other day, you know? And I just think that Portalette should have been put, but unfortunately I got outvoted, so I can accept that. And, you know, the one person that was really screaming about this is always on Facebook about we need a bathroom, we need a restroom. So I tried. I didn't succeed. But I want to make one comment. When that lady goes fishing in her boat, and she goes to the end of the canal or to the bay, I've never seen a bathroom in her boat. I wonder what they do. They got their little 5-gallon bucket. Now, do they bring it back? I don't know. But that's no boat. I've seen many boats launch there. $100,000, $120,000, $80,000. I've yet to see a boat with a bathroom in it, except if it's a yacht. So what did they do? I guess they have their little can. I don't know. You put it over, you put it out, you bring it in. I have no idea. But don't criticize us for not having a bathroom when you go fishing in your boat and you have none. And that's where I'm at. And thank you for serving on the commission, and I want to thank the commission, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be all right.
Mr. Otan.
Yeah, so,
Wait, I gotta answer some of your questions, Mr. Otan. that you
okay,
brought
well, I just want to, you had mentioned about the commission establishment by the state legislature, et cetera. But as far as the authority, and I think that's where some of the people were asking, is that the Leeville Cultural Preservation Society, I know I didn't read it just right, Fishing Village and Cultural Preservation Society, does not have the authority over the public launch. So I think that's been made crystal clear, and that's my understanding.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Bob.
All right, so two things you brought up. Number one, the portalettes, I'm glad, because so far at the fishing pier, Daniel, his brother, me, Ben Griffin, Don Griffin, that would have just been another thing that we would have probably had to clean, you know, so, and it's hard enough when you got to pick up trash, you know, and everything else. The other thing, you mentioned me being abrasive, okay? And I want to make sure this is clear. Dirty jobs really can be tough. This stems from one of the main economic engines in Leeville that everybody relies on, Boudreaux's Waterfront Motel. When the owner left and his brother took over, he's just like John Boudreaux. And in 1971, Mr. Boudreaux took the Texaco station in Leeville, sold it to Nolte Griffin, and he opened up Boudreaux's Waterfront Motel. And he walked his motel. If you pulled up there and you didn't put the $5 in the boat launch, Mr. Boudreaux politely came up to you and said, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The person that's in charge now took over on September, right after Labor Day, took over in September. And he came to me, his name is Carl Hornback, and I have his number, I'll gladly give it to you. And he said, Bob, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run this motel just like Mr. Boudreaux did. He's a direct descendant. That was his grandfather. And the first thing he did was he put up 2 big signs up in the front of the property that say, no trespassing, motel guest only. And he also installed cameras, HD cameras, the whole property. And he said, anybody drives on the property, they're gonna get a trespassing ticket and I'm gonna tow them. And I told Carl, I said, Carl, you're really gonna, excuse my language, you're really gonna piss off a lot of people. I know since I've been there 30 some odd years, you know, since 71, I know all the people that would come there. He took the public boat launch, the launch there at Boudreaux's out because we had this $2 million facility. And I asked him, I said, why don't you let me go park in the front of your parking lot? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, from 4 in the morning to 8 o'clock. And I'm gonna go to the people that pull in that are not staying here. Instead of you giving them a trespassing ticket, I'm gonna go to the people and say, hey, it's private now. Go to the boat launch and launch. But you had a terrible problem. You had, and the reason he incorporated this plan was liability. People come on his property, use his fish cleaning station, launch their boat, hurt themselves, and then want to sue Boudreaux's. So I went out there 3 days, because I usually don't fish the weekends now that I'm kind of semi-retired. So Friday in the morning, Saturday and Sunday from 4 to 8, I would go there. And if you pulled into Boudreaux's to use their facility or to go to Mr. Serignier's bait shop, you know, which isn't even part of Boudreaux's, he specifically said, I don't want those people on here. And I went out there and I stood my post, which I know you understand, Mr. Paraloo. I did what Mr. Hornback asked me to do, and that was inform the people that they couldn't. So when you say I was abrasive, the proof in the pudding is, go to Boudreaux's and look at those HD cameras and see the people that pulled into that parking lot and said, hey, we're going to get bait whether you like it or not. What's your position? So I stood that post till June 1st, because I'm not going to sit in a truck and get eaten by mosquitoes. And during that long period from September to June, we alleviated the problem. Now you drive on Boudreaux's property, the cameras pick you up. They see your license plate, you get sent a trespassing ticket. So it stopped all the problems. And plus Boudreaux's, the main economic engine. Ask Mr. Serignier how many people walk across Boudreaux's parking lot to go get bait at his shop. I mean, he reaps benefits from Boudreaux's. So most of the businessmen understood, but the people that came were abrasive and said, hey, we're going to do this whether you like it or not. So that's where that
Mr. LaFawn, you have something, we need to move this along.
I
This
was
is-
gonna tell you
Wait,
something pertinent to this.
I have one other thing to answer. Also, the same thing happened on the fishing pier. These people that Daniel's talking about made a post. I can read it to you. I can pull out my phone and read it to you. And what actually happened, I made a copy of what happened. This was a text that was going out to the media. And I'm not going to take the time to read it, but y'all can read it. I made a copy for each of you. And you'll see that all this was if anybody is fishing the fishing pier and you need help fishing the fishing pier, how to catch the fish, where to cast, how to do all of that. If you look at my television program it's going to be 40 years in November. A new show every week, 1,520 episodes promoting this parish and telling people where to go fishing, down to the GPS, how to rig the spots, and that's a big plus. I'm sure if you talk to Mr. Griffin, he'll tell you how many people come to Leeville because there's a fishing program, the highest rated fishing program in the state, filmed every week out of Leeville. So I'll make sure that y'all all get a copy of this so you can see just what was sent. And it was not abrasive, not at all. But if you read what was on that site, Facebook, and look, Facebook, I know you want to
Mr.
rush
Chairman,
along,
can we-
Mr. Parrish.
I'm not trying to rush you off, sir, but we've spent enough time on this.
Yeah,
We're going to
got-
be discussing this Facebook situation later.
Oh, okay.
Okay? I mean, you're here to represent the Leeville Fishing Village and Cultural Preservation Commission. Why are you getting into all this stuff
I'm
right now?
answering his question.
All right, that's enough. Thank you for addressing us.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to
I'll-
Section G, Engineers and Architects Report. Do we have any? We do not. Section H, Parish President, Department Head, Directors, and Managers Reports. We've already done number 41. Do you have any other reports? None. Section I, questions for the administration.
I got a question.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess this is directed to the administration. Who was in charge of the auction on Saturday?
The auction generally runs through risk management, through whoever we approved, through council, again, auction.
So Rich Management was in charge of this auction? That's what you're saying, Rich Management?
Risk management kept all the documentation of the items, and they usually are the ones that draw up the resolutions or the ordinances involved.
Does Risk Management give the, I guess, the authority to the mechanic to repair these equipment?
That I couldn't tell you, Mr. Jones.
Is Risk Management over the mechanics?
No, mechanics fall under DPW.
Did DPW give them the authority to repair all that equipment?
And what you talking about, Mr. Jerry, in repairing?
We got several purchase orders, man hours for repairing dozer, excavator, bobcat, vans, whatever. That was not in the ordinance.
Yes, that's what was instructed to, for the batteries, fix the flats, et cetera.
So DPW?
No, sir. I said we was instructed.
Was you instructed by Risk Management?
No, sir.
Was you instructed by the administration?
Yes, sir, to make sure everything would crank and if it had a flat.
Okay.
Mr. Grow.
I just had a question, and I didn't send it in early, it just kind of came up tonight. Mr. Terry Serenier here, and I can't remember if I talked to maybe you, Tony, about this in the past, because bathrooms came up. They donated like a system for bathrooms, Mr. Terry and TYDs. Do you remember, does anybody remember that? And it wasn't moved, is that something we can use? Orman mentioned about $100,000 to do bathrooms, you know, he's familiar with, and I understand this is about a $25,000 system. I don't know what it would cost if y'all looked into it, or are we gonna take it from Mr. Saranier, because it's been donated?
I did speak to, I spoke to James, and I think I spoke to Mr. Jimmy. Terry did donate it to the parish if ever they did do the bathroom at the facility. All the parish has to do is get a piece of equipment down there, because it is a large tank. So we just have to get some equipment down there to put it on a trailer. And I think, as far as storing, I think someone down by the levee district or something down there had said that we could store it on their facility. So we would have it in case they would do a bathroom. We would have the tank. It's got the tank, it's got the pumps on it, it's got the grading, everything. You know, it wouldn't cost the parish anything as far as that. And it was donated by Mr. Sevigny. We just have to see about getting it, because right now it's been in the front of his property for a few months, and I know he'd like it moved, you know, out of his way. So now, if I could set it up with James, I know they had been busy. We was gonna try to get some equipment down there and move it for, if ever they do decide to do the restrooms, we'd have it. To store it? Yeah, South Lafourche Levee District said we could store it there.
All right, Mr. Otam.
Something I just was looking in my notes. Any update, Mr. Jimmy, on the coroner's office issues of evaluating another location? If nothing's happened, that's fine, I'm just asking.
Yes, sir, I met with the coroner's investigator, Mr. Goldman, and then later I met with the bank vice president and Dr. King. We went over to review, look over the bank there in question. Kind of wanted to get the coroner's ideas of what equipment they'd like to put in there, if they'd like to expand their capabilities, what their ideas were, so we could kind of start figuring out, roundabout what kind of project we're talking about money-wise.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, I think before we do anything with that sewage treatment plant, we need to find out if everything works before we start jumping the gun. If it doesn't work or it's not working good or something, I don't think we should fool with it. Why should we go spend a bunch of money to get this if it's not workable? If it is, that's fine. If it's not, I don't think we should fool with it.
Everything on the system, it works. It's got the motors, it's got the blowers, it's got everything for the complete system. So, I mean, it was donated if we need it, if we want it.
Ms. Posito?
Mr. Haas, I've been looking through, or Mr. Cantrell, I've been looking through the budget, and I didn't see any money put aside for a building for the coroner's office. Did I miss it, or was there no money put in the budget?
No, it was not put in the budget as of right now. I just met with them last week.
Okay. Mr. Barnes, is risk management under you? Are you responsible, are you the authority over risk management?
No, ma'am.
Who is?
Oh,
Who's their supervisor? Who's over, or Mr. Haas or Mr. Jimmy, who's over risk management?
Risk management reports to the parish president.
Gotcha.
All right. Moving on to Section J, council reports, presentations, updates, and our questions. Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to let the council know and the public that on October the 4th, I became a grandpa. My daughter had a baby October the 4th at about 3 p.m. at Terrebonne General. And her name was Maria May Sheremy. And I like to say that Maria was the grandma, and she was killed in a car wreck about 30 years ago. And it just so happened the baby was born on my daughter's birthday and on the grandma's birthday. So I just want to welcome her into the new world. I love her. And hopefully she can get going strong so I can get my wife back. My wife's been at my daughter's house ever since. But it's all for the good. And I thought about something. I said, the first birthday cake is going to be a 3-layer. It's going to be Maria, it's going to be Kelly, and it's going to be Maria. And I hope everything goes good, and I just wanted to let y'all know.
Congratulations.
So now you can officially call me Grandpa, Arnold. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Otan.
Yeah, so congratulations again, Pop, and certainly well wishes to Maria. I do want to report that I know this storm that was out there, I was certainly watching these derelict vessels that I thank the council for putting money in the budget to rid of. But I do want to report that the Joan of Arc, which is across from Bollinger, is one of the worst ones that exists. This cabin seems to have fallen. It's certainly listed even more. Looks to have moved a little more into the bayou. So I was hoping we didn't end up with a situation where the barge is hitting Katrina, damaged levees, et cetera. But we have some vessels that I certainly hope we move on, and I do want to report that that one seems to be getting in a little bit worse condition. Next thing I want to do is I want to thank the Office of Emergency Preparedness for Lafourche Parish Government for their storm interaction over this past weekend and the end of last week. The communication that I received personally was phenomenal, and I certainly thank that group. I also want to thank the nuisance abatement group. As y'all heard on tonight's agenda, there was a lot of structures that we're finally moving on. One of them is that was damaged during Katrina. One of them was abandoned probably over 10 years ago. So it'll be some of these are right up on Highway 1. So it's I'm encouraged to see some of these some of these structures moving. So thank Nuisance Group. And last thing I want to do is just thank the many councilmen, people from administration that both attended and helped work at the festival this past weekend. It was a difficult festival with the storm, but I thank those that came, attended, worked. It ended up being actually a pretty good weekend, and we enjoyed it, and we brought a lot of people from out of the area into the area, so thank y'all.
Thanks, Noonan. Mr. LaFont.
I just want to let the residents and people that watch this and anybody knows spread the word that, hold on, my phone went, my calendar went away, that on October 27th, 28th, and 29th, the La Rose Civic Center will be holding the French Food Festival, which has been a top 10 tourist attraction in the state for numerous years. I'd like to welcome everybody to come on out and support it. I have a booth there. I've been in charge of a booth for 25 years, so hope to see y'all all there. If y'all want to come hang out and cook, any councilman or anybody wants to come volunteer, we appreciate your help. Also, I just want to touch one base, and I didn't find out till yesterday about the surplus auction we had. And when I found out about it, I was kind of appalled to know that during the state of an emergency, during a hurricane time, that this parish is going to hold an auction and have employees there during a state of an emergency, when the Galliana-born had to beg to get a third person there to hand out sandbags. I was appalled by it. That's all I wanted to say.
Ms. Lucy.
Jack Bay Gumbo Festival is October 13th through 15th. It's Friday through Sunday. I know it's everyone's favorite, so if you can come out, I'd appreciate it, and so would the Jack Bay Fire Department.
Mr. Bowe.
The Laurel Valley Fall Festival is October 15th. It's really interesting to see all the old implements from tractors to mud boats, so come out and enjoy yourself. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Section K, Legal Advisory Report. Being none. Section L, Public wishing to address the council. Ms. Carleen.
Ms. Teresa Peters, to address the council regarding items posted on Facebook and items placed on a nonprofit Facebook site. Ms. Peters, please state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
Teresa Peters, Post Office Box 389, Matthews. I'm here because there were things that were said that I disagree with and I'm not happy with. And those things were said at meetings here at the council. First off, Councilman Lafont, when there are taxes, whether they're new or taxes that were passed, mentioned, and voting that's mentioned, you bring up people that are homestead exempt. You have a problem with people that are homestead exempt? You think we don't understand what new taxes are or existing taxes due for this parish? You think that when we go vote, we stand there and say, I'm not going to vote for that because I don't know what it is. Or when I go buy something, I say, I'm not paying for that tax. I'm homestead exempt. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it does for this parish. I'm homestead exempt. You have any idea how many people in this parish are homestead exempt? You know how many people you offend when you say that? I'm sorry if I don't fit in the lifestyle you do, but I'm pretty happy. I'm sorry I didn't pay as much for my home as you did, but I'm still pretty happy. I don't have the same opinions as you do. I don't have the same friends as you do.
Thank God. Listen, you come attacked us here several times.
Point of order.
Jared, it's her 3 minutes. You can't call point of order. Who did?
I did. I did.
You don't have that authority.
Oh, I'm
Jerry,
sorry.
go ahead and answer her right now. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Point of order, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna call point of order.
You want to finish your 3 minutes before it runs out?
I'm sorry I don't fit in your income bracket, or I have the same opinions or the same friends as you, or I didn't pay as much for my house as you did. You're not voted into office for your personal likes and dislikes. It was to help the people in your district. Councilwoman Sposito, you went on and on about a phone call you insisted you made to the parish president.
3 minutes.
At the last meeting, you even brought up the records
minutes is
to
up, ma'am.
prove.
If anybody wants to relinquish more time,
I'll relinquish more time.
okay, 3 more minutes.
At the last meeting, you even brought up your records to prove you made that call to him. You made fun of his records, and you kept insisting, I called you, and you never returned my phone call. I have the records. Didn't it ever cross your mind that you dialed the wrong number? Or do you think yourself incapable of making a mistake? Have you judged the parish president so harshly that you didn't double-check his phone number? You blamed him for your mistake. Yet when you realized your mistake, you didn't even apologize to him or the people that were watching. And that was the least you could have done. And Mr. Chairman, you have a thing about transparency. You held up a meeting waiting on an answer. Well, I wonder about that, because you had a Facebook site that you closed. Could it be that it was transparent that the comments you made were racist? Or could it be that it was transparent the comments were meant to be comical? Well, I guess we won't know. What I do know is that on March 14th of this year, it was very transparent how you felt about what I said when I addressed this council. What you thought I said was comical. When Mrs. Posito and Mr. Lorraine got into a tete-a-tete, you slammed the gavel down, and with a blank-eating grin on your face, you said, let's have a little respect. You thought that was funny or comical? Because I didn't. And in my opinion, you disrespected me, you dishonored your position as council chair, and you dishonored all the other council members who have served as council chair. And I have never seen anyone do what you did to me that night. I am a registered voter in this parish. I am a senior citizen in this parish. And shame on you, Mr. Perilou, for doing what you did to me. And that's all I have to say.
What did I do to you again? Refresh my memory.
You smiled and you said, oh, really?
How's that?
You had a shit-eating grin on your face and said, let's have a little respect.
Mr. LaFawn, you want to respond to this?
Yes.
Go.
First of all, you have no clue anything about my finances. I have 3 jobs. 3 jobs.
Is that why you bring up the
my father was
people who
murdered
are
when I was 1 year
homestead
old.
exempt
I
every
was
time
raised
there's
by.
taxes?
Let me talk. My father was murdered when I was 1
Don't say
year
you
old.
didn't interrupt, because you did.
You like talking to a brick wall. Let me tell you something. My father was murdered when I was 1 year old. I was raised by a single parent like this young lady right here.
I raised
I was
a
told
child
my
as
whole
a
life I
single
could never
parent,
succeed
too.
in life.
So don't go
I
there.
succeeded in life.
Ma'am,
I worked 3 jobs.
You're out of order. We're going to have
pay
to
for
ask
2
you to
kids
leave
to go
if
to
you
college
continue
right
speaking
now.
over people.
Go ahead.
2 kids to go to college. I have a home, and you have no clue what I paid for.
And you have no clue what I paid for, Jerry.
Because I can care less what you paid for.
And I could care less, too.
Apparently you do. But I can tell you one thing.
What you need to do is you need to respect the people who you say you work for.
I
Point of
respect
order, Mr.
everybody.
Chairman.
I just because I don't think that people are tax exempt should be able to vote on taxing somebody who is and putting a burden on me, doesn't mean that I'm not respectful to the people. It doesn't mean.
What y'all
At
need
one
to do
time
is
there was a
y'all need
law
to watch
that stated
these
that if you
meetings
were
on
tax
TV
exempt,
and
you
what
couldn't
y'all
vote on
say.
tax.
She is not following the council chamber rules. I want her off that microphone.
I'd like to respond to the question.
You can
No,
respond.
I'm not
Okay.
finished. Let me finish.
Oh, okay.
But she don't need to be on the microphone.
No,
Because
please.
she's not respectful. You talk about being respectful.
Just hand me the microphone, if you would.
So, you don't know nothing about the people I hang out with. I'm not high and mighty. If you know it, if you know me, you know I don't act high and mighty. I hang out with, most of my friends don't have hardly anything. Once in my life, I went 2 days without eating because I couldn't afford to eat. But you know what? I had to fight from that, just like this young lady did. I had to fight for what I wanted. I go to work every morning, just like most people. Not only one job, sometimes I don't get off of work till 11 o'clock at night. So my kids can have the things that I didn't have. So if you're gonna fuss me for having a nicer home than some people, then shame on you, because I go to work every day. And you know what? My house is worth a lot more than what I paid for it, because I did a lot of research and bought a home at a reasonable price. Because I use my intelligence, not because I'm richer than anybody else, because I use my intelligence.
You missed the whole point.
No, you missed the point. You missed the boat. You missed the banana boat is what you missed.
All right, Ms. Posito?
Ms. Peters, what you don't understand is this phone is issued by the parish. The numbers are already in here. When I call a number for the parish president, I couldn't dial an incorrect number because it's put in by IT. The number I dialed wasn't the number on the records that he brought. I have 3 different numbers for Parish President Cantrell. I called a different number, not the wrong number. He brought in records for one phone number. I called the parish number that is supposed to be manned at all times. Whereas if Parish President couldn't have answered his phone, his staff or going straight to an emergency preparedness office would have. And he would have gotten a message whenever. So I was not incorrect, nor did I need to apologize on my call not being returned, because I dialed his correct number. He brought the records from a different number. Does that make sense?
Mr. Melvin? Go ahead, sir.
No, I
Ms.
did not.
Peters, I can't police Facebook. I mean, Facebook polices itself. It's a free country, at least for another couple of days, and I understand you have grievances, that's fine, but, you know, when I come in here, I try to shake everybody's hand. And I don't know what I did to you, but when I went to shake your hand, you did not shake my hand. Why, I don't know, but, I mean, you know, like I said, I mean, I don't know if you're doing other people's bidding in the government, or if somebody, you know, inside the government can't do their own bidding, but that's what it sounds like, because you're here again lecturing us on things that, and, you know, we can see through this, you know, but.
Are you done, Bo?
Yes.
All right, we're moving on to Section M, discussions. Number 43, discussion concerning the Leeville Fishing Pier and Launch Leeville. Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to say that we talked enough about the pier, but it's very successful. People are using it, words are getting out, old people coming there, and it's being checked out by the harbor police when they make their rounds. And if anything goes wrong, and I'm there, we'll definitely call the sheriff's office or the harbor police. But then I want to also say something about Launch Leeville. Launch Leeville is on Facebook. I don't have Facebook, thank God, because I'd be arguing every day. I get to see some of it, but some of it's a bunch of bull. First of all, the lady that's really in charge of that is probably the one, allegedly, is the one that sent the anonymous letter, because my name was in there a couple of times. She must like me. She writes a lot about me. But anyway, what I'm trying to see is that the boat launch is usable, and there's some things that need to be done. But you need money. You know, we need to add some sidewalk. We need to maybe fix cement under the pier. I mean, not the pier, the pavilion. We need to get the water. We need to get some picnic tables. But my challenge to Miss Rodas, who happens to be Launch Leeville, is she runs a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So I'm going to challenge her publicly. Why don't she donate some of that money to help us fix this? And let's start talking positive instead of negative. All she talks about is negative. You go to that pier, and 200-300 people are gonna come there, and everybody's happy but her. And she tries to get all them Baton Rouge people excited. Look, the guy called me yesterday. We didn't agree on the 200 feet. I said, how about we go to 100? And I think y'all caught on to that. So I went along with his recommendation. So we could, why should we be fighting in Leeville, the people? Let's try to get together. I mean, this lady doesn't even vote here. Not even a registered voter. And she just puts me down, and I could take that, I ain't worried about that. But it's just, it makes it look ugly. Why don't she put something on the Facebook, something positive that she even went on the pier? I don't even know if she ever went on the pier. The pictures that she sent was stuff that wasn't even open yet. We got a busted gate. She said that an 18-wheeler or energy truck busted it. No, we got a police report on that. It was 6 gentlemen riding around, went through that. We got the police report. We took it out. We eventually fixed it. So she says things that's not true. And she got some people convinced. And I can tell you right now, Bob Goosh, a lot of people don't like Bob Goosh. A lot of people don't like me. But he doesn't police the pier. I don't police the pier. We're going to call the right authorities. And I just hope that Ms. Rodas, you're listening. And I'm sure you're on your Facebook already attacking me. And let's try to do things right. Let's try to talk about positive things for all boat launches in Lafourche, because they bring in people. And that's all I got to say.
All right, can we get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Bourgeois, second by Mr. Lafont. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned at 7:32.